Hello, folks. I just realised I'm on Mordian's channel as well now, aren't I? This is a simulcast.
It's a
He's
simulcast.
taking over his channel.
It's
taking
never.
all your subs, man.
It's never been done. It's never been done.
Never once in the Warhammer YouTube space has this happened. That kind of a thing.
And never between us. Don't look about a year ago. Don't look about a year ago.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's fine. It's all well and good. This has been a long time coming, hasn't it? We tried to set this up a few times. I was having a little chat about the absolute state of 40k and what's going on with it. And now we're on the tail end of 10th edition. We thought it'd be a good time to get together and just reminisce about how 10th has gone.
Yeah.
Adepticon and Opinions.
Yeah.
And what's been going on, especially with the Guard. Get your opinions on a few things we're doing over there as well with Guardsmen. But how have you been, man? First of all, how has things been going with you in general?
It's good, man. Yeah, I mean, it's been a roller coaster of emotions. It's been Bridgehead Detachment got released, and times were good, and then Bridgehead got kind of well, Quillen's got released and times were good. Then they got nerfed. Then Bridgehead got released. And then it got nerfed a bit, and so that was up and down. And then the Guard Codex came out, and then that was good. And then the Guard Codex got nerfed, so that was bad. So it's been up and down, but things seem to be stabilizing a little bit. And hopefully now my emotions will be quite going through the ringer. What about yourself?
You know how weird it is to hear, as a Grey Knight player, to hear somebody else going, events happened in 10th edition. We got this, we got that, and then that went away, and then I'm here going, yeah, here's my models from 20 years ago. They look like they're having a shit.
Hey man, you got that upgrade sprue for the Nemesis Dread Knight. That was a big moment for you guys.
Yeah, let's take the one thing that everybody hates and give it a dress. That's what we're doing.
I thought it was a whole new model. I was like, oh, at least they're getting a new model. And then someone was like, no, it's an upgrade sprue. And I was like, what?
Somebody from my Discord hooked me up that there were new Grey Knight models.
Yeah.
I went to my PC. I sat down, only to find it's the same box, with the same models in it. I'd been trolled, and I was literally I was ready to ban them. I didn't, because it was very funny. But I was just like, no, I was just. This is why I've been so furious. I don't think I'd have been this angry if I'd just been left asleep, because I got up and actually watched that thing.
Oh my god.
And the way they said it, these are new models, guys, come on. You've got a new Grey Knight box set. Ooh, brilliant. It's the same model.
Yeah.
Dread Knight has a dress.
Yeah. Are you would you say you're going hot these days? You're going hot on it. Are you popping off with some of the injustices from GW?
Dude, I've had like 2 videos of it now. This is my chill video. I'm trying. I'm trying.
I'll get you hyped up. Don't you worry.
I'm trying. I mean, it's somebody said it best. I said it on a video the other day. It'd have been better off doing nothing. This seems aggressive. It seems like they literally just gone, what is the thing that will literally annoy them the most?
Yeah.
This is what we'll do. You know. And again, Year of Chaos followed by here's some more Space Wolves. Here's the range refresh for the Space Wolves. But again, with Adepticon, what score would you have given it out of 10? Me and Maka did it the other day.
It's very easy. I would give it a Cathay out of 10.
Yeah, me too. I like Cathay. I thought that was really good.
Everything else, I tell you what, right? I don't know. We've kind of dived straight into it, but that's we're shooting from the hip. We're off the cuff with this one.
Yeah.
I think the best moment from the Adepticon reveals, truly, was when they were like taking questions from Ed. It was like, Ed, got any questions? And he went, there's a lot of questions about Warcry, and everyone in my community went, no, Ed, there isn't. Stop lying.
No, there isn't. You want to talk about Warcry, but no, there isn't. Oh my god.
I think the number one question from those reveals was simply 2 words. Sorry, 3 words. Where's Steel Legion?
Yeah. I think we can just jump into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
At the end of the day, that's why we're here. I said it in my video the other day, even before I knew we were doing this actually, so it's quite nice timing. But that's the one thing that shocked me the most. You know what? Other thing? No orcs.
Yeah.
No Gazgul, no orcs.
Yeah.
And Armageddon, I'm fully aware the first war for Armageddon had Angron in it, right? But it was an obscure lore point that was given away when we were talking about the second and third wars for Armageddon rather than anything else, right? So Armageddon to me is orcs.
Yeah, of course.
It's still Legion. It's, that. What?
It's why the hell? I mean, if some people would say, oh, it's quite nice that they've gone back and they've picked out an obscure bit of lore and they're making like a big deal out of it because you've got like the Space Wolves and their year of bollocks, whatever it was, when they started getting uppity with the Inquisition and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, okay, that is nice, but that is also like 2 pages worth of lore. And then let's go and look at the second and third war for Armageddon, where there is unbelievable amounts of lore and mythos and importance for 2 major factions in the game. Like, and we're not just talking like, oh, Armageddon Steel Legion. We're talking Armageddon as a planet for the Guard. And and as crazy as it sounds, I would say Armageddon is in terms of importance to player base, in terms of factions, it's more important to the orcs first. That's where that's where not even with all in all. Like, I mean, of course, all in all, of course. But what I mean is, like, in terms of like the real life people on the ground, the players, the factions, it's the number one planet that orc players get to talk about the awesome shit that's happened with their faction in the past has been Armageddon. Identity to the faction, reason you pick up models and all that kind of stuff, like speed freaks driving around the dust plains or the ash plains. It's Armageddon.
Literally, like it's literally your thing. Like, you get, here are the orcs, is where they're going to be. Somebody said something really interesting the other day in a comment section. I want to get your opinion on. They thought, and there's a few people who've been saying this to me as well, that what Games Workshop are doing is they're silently, quietly retconning all of the big events and moving them into the 42nd millennium. So in their mind, yes, this is the third war, whatever it is, for Armageddon. Fourth war now. And, but they'll never call it that. But this is the first one for them because it was a soft reboot. Like, the Primaris coming back, Guilliman coming back was actually a soft reboot. And the first, second, and third wars for Armageddon didn't happen in their canon now. They don't reference them, they don't talk about them. They're in Legends, basically. And Angron coming back is them doing a redo. Right, this is the. They're not going to say it is because they know it'll get a lot of hatred. They're keeping the orcs and the Steel Legion out of there because it's Space Marine time. The Demigods playground, have another playground to fight upon, and that's what they're selling. What do you reckon with that?
I think that is entirely plausible because, the first thing to admit here to your dear viewers, which will probably get me utterly crucified, is I'm not really a lore guy. I used to be a lore guy. I used to really be into the lore up until about 8th edition. But then ever since 8th edition's landed, there's just something about the lore that just hasn't drawn me in. Like, I would rather go back. My go-to lore these days, if I want to like listen to something, I'll go back and re-listen to the Eisenhorn series for the millionth time, the Gaunt's Ghost series for the millionth time. If I'm in a fancy mood, it'll be Goptic and Felix series for the millionth time. Like, I just find, go and read The Last Chances, which I've still got the original books for. Like, that's the era of lore that I find myself going back to, and I haven't really paid attention to anything since 8th edition. In fact, it wasn't until about 6 months ago, for the first time, I read the Primaris lore, and I only got about 10 minutes into the wiki article, or people were telling me to read it on stream before I had to give up because I just thought I was going to throw up. It was so bad. I was just, oh my god. So my thing, but going back to your point, my thinking is that GW, there's new GW and there's old GW. And if I could inject this from a rules perspective for a second, I know Boo hates rules, but 10th edition was GW shedding the final vestiges of the old system. They got rid of things like initiative. They got rid of the way that war gear works. If you look at a 10th edition datasheet, just the way it's laid out, and compare that to every other quote-unquote datasheet, unit entries we used to say, all the way back until 2nd edition, the layout's completely different. And so they've done that with the rules, and I think they're doing it with the lore. I think 11th edition will be when they shed the final vestiges of the old lore, and we enter the 42nd millennium, and they'll change everything from top to bottom. And by the end of 11th edition, we'll be in a new 40k, new GW.
Well, I think we're gonna again. Anything the people who it's good for this us.
Yeah.
Warhammer YouTubers, like literally, there's the only people who benefit because we're gonna eat well. There's gonna be a lot of controversies coming out in the next couple of years.
It's true.
We're all gonna be at the big boys table because and here's the thing: people say like we love drama and stuff. That is true because whenever something happens, you're thinking, "Ooh,
I'm an unashamed content fiend. I will slurp that content up. Like I'm very open about that with my community. I love the drama. I love the beef. That's what I eat beef. That's my style, sir. So
typical Englishman, beef is the staple diet, man.
Exactly.
But like in terms of what's going to be going on with 11th edition, I think you've hit on a good point there. In that I think they will make it more. Grimdark is going away. We've seen it ebbing away bit by bit. Things are getting more Saturday morning cartoon. We're getting less stakes, right? But on the other side of things, let's not go too far into it. But I think we will be getting full female Space Marines in 11th. I think it's going to happen. Eventually, they're gonna pull the trigger and say, "Listen, this is the game it is now. So if you don't like it, leave," sort of a thing. It'll be the last vestiges of that. If they do, it's D-Day.
I love that.
There's going to be a lot of people going, right, storm the beaches.
I'm assuming D stands for dicks, because all the guys.
Exactly, yeah, waving the phalanges around. Not on my Nelly. No, like, again, I'm with them. Like, I agree, like, but yeah. I'm on the opinion, I've said this before, people hate me for it. I don't mind female custodies, but there's a reason for it. Right?
Yeah.
In the lore, every Custodes is tailor-made, sculpted over hundreds and hundreds of years. They take their time. If they just said that, yeah, of course you can have female Custodes because we've got the technology to make them. It takes so long, right?
Yeah.
We can nurse them through the changes. But Space Marines are mass-produced, so there can never be female Space Marines. If they said that, I'd be like, standing in the fucking aisles. Yeah, okay. Cool. You've got your females in power armor.
Yeah.
You already had them since the battle, but never mind. You've got your Custodes, fine, but now you've safeguarded that, brilliant, but they didn't. They did the change, insulted the fan base, and then they've left the door open for female Space Marines, which is where the bad taste isn't with me, but
yeah.
I think it's a very good point in 11th edition that we're going to move further into that direction, and that's just where we are, but we've gone way away from Adepticon. I mean, with
that's okay, we'll shoot it from the hip, man. That's what we said, wherever it goes. Yeah. People don't really mind, they just want to hear us shoot the shit.
Not Mordians, got a Mordian on the brain. The Steel Legion.
Yeah.
I think we're looking towards Steel Legion are one of the original big boys of the Imperial Guard faction.
We're the original Deathcore of Krieg. The Deathcore of Krieg are just opposers. That's what they are.
Exactly. But yeah. All they do is dig. The Legion don't dig; they fight. They're on the ramparts, mate. That's where they are.
That's the way.
So again, it's Katachan. It's look at the big boys. It's Katachan. It's Steel Legion. Those are the two big Imperial Guard dudes who you look at them and go, God. Not even Cadians. They're Cadians somewhat because they're the poster boys, but the other two are quintessential Guard. They're old school. This is where they are. All of the cool super soldiers, the real ones that you've seen in movies, your Rambos, your dudes like that. This is them. This is where they live. Taking that away from Armageddon is basically removing, for me, the spirit and the heart of what Armageddon's supposed to be.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a place where everybody gets their time in the sun. It's really the Guards' place, but you get Space Marines fighting beside Guardsmen, the Space Marines in books, like Hell's Reach, going, fuck, that Guardsman got some giant balls.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%,
we're
man.
losing that.
Well, do you know what's interesting? They made a little bit of a throwaway comment in the Adepticon sort of preview show, or reveal show, if you want to call it. And they were like, oh yeah, so fighting on Armageddon, there's going to be like the Space Wolves and the Grey Knights, and they've caught the, or was it the Grey Knights have called out, and the Space Wolves have answered, blah blah blah. And then after they did, like, I think it was either just before or just after they did the little reveal showing all of the new Space Wolf stuff, they were like, oh yeah, so it's cool to see all these people fighting there, you know, like the Grey Knights, the Space Wolves, the Deathcore Krieg. And I was like, what?
Who?
What?
Yeah.
And I was like, the Death Corps of Krieg are now the principal regiment on Armageddon. Like, I don't get it. Why? Like, this. If I was Games Workshop, man, what annoys me about Games Workshop is it feels so often like many of these controversies can be avoided. So all they needed to do was go, Steel Legion are fighting on Armageddon. Of course they are, guys. But we're not released. Just to be honest, we've not. With this release, there won't be any plastic Steel Legion, so they can leave the door open for maybe them in the future. But you could paint your Deathcore Krieg up in Steel Legion colours, and that would really, really well. And we've already seen people who have done that in the community, and they could have done that, and people would have been like, "Oh, that's sick." Yeah, of course. You know, plastic Deathcore Krieg, they work as Steel Legion, Gas Mask Boys are Gas Mask Boys, jobs are good. Yeah. But they were just like, no. Yarrick, dead. He's not coming back. Stop asking about him. And Deathcore Krieg are now fighting Armageddon, not Steel Legion. Go away.
The off-screen part of that was cowardly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What happened. And a lot of people said I was overreacting to that. Because it's like, oh no, they're doing something with it. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
They're not doing anything with it.
They literally... They could not have made it clearer. Any other time in that show when they got asked a question where they were like, we can't really tell you yet. They were like, check Warhammer community. You'll see lots of interesting information there. This was the time when the guy just went, no. We're not leaving. There's no door being left open here, guys. If he does come back eventually, it'll be an incredible M. Night Shyamalan level twist, and I will actually praise GW for it. But right now, I'm on the assumption that Yarrick is gone. He's not coming back. He's like that. What is it? The barbershop band from the old Family Guy episodes. They're gone. They're not coming back. Like,
yeah.
That's what's happened, and it's just like, why? And
we can only go on what they're telling us, or what they're showing us, and what they're showing us is Yarrick has forgotten. He's not coming back, and that's the end of that. I'm telling you why they've done this in Armageddon. By the way,
go on.
Lehman Russ is coming back.
Yeah.
Armageddon.
But we've already got Lehman Russes. We've got like the battle tank and the demolisher, and I don't go. What?
Yes, exactly.
Another Lehman Russ variant.
I want more tanks, man. I want more normies.
Are they bringing? You go first.
Hey man, I want Yarrick beating the living shit out of Angron. He's in the way of Gazgul. I wanted to beat his head in and go, Gazgul's behind you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't care about you. I'm going for this. I want the belief of the orcs to build this guy up so much that he punches Angron's face in on his way to yet another throwdown with Gazgul.
Yeah.
Just sideswipes him. Get out the fuck.
Here's the thing, man. I've had a lot of people come to me and say that they should bring Yarrick back as a living saint for the guard. But ironically, he's powered by the fuel of the orc Justel Field, which that was my initial reaction. That'd be brilliant. But upon reflection, controversial statement here, I don't want that, because the whole point of the guard is that we're normal people. So save the living saints for the Sisters of Battle. Yarrick should. I much prefer the idea that Yarrick is like 500 years old and they've no idea how he keeps going, and it's the Orc Stealth Field which is keeping him alive as a normal person, but he's just ancient as all fuck. But like it's like when back in, because I presume you are deep in the Horus Heresy lore. I think I've seen your videos where you've covered them all and everything. I think you did one with Amber King, didn't you? About like what happened at the end. Yeah, I watched that one. I thought that was really good. But they keep changing the lore around Alonius Pius. At first he was a normal guardsman, then it was a Space Marine Terminator, then it was a Custodes, then Alonius is back again, but now he's a Perpetual. And the whole thing is like, don't make him a Perpetual. Alonius Pius was a random guardsman that...
Dude.
yeah, like just have him as one of the, because when the, you know, how I used to always imagine it, and I don't know if they changed that, but like the Emperor didn't just go up to Horus's ship on his own. The Emperor got like a pretty decent strike force, and they all went up. And that strike force, you know, ideally would have consisted all of like Space Marines, but fuck it. Sometimes you just got to take whoever's in the... Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you got to take whoever's in the fucking room. And so Alonius Pius was just a random guardsman, and he was like, obviously they all got scattered over Horus's ship. And Alonius, you know, the Emperor and maybe Alonius and you know, a few other people managed to, you know, fight to the to Horus's ship. And then that's when that's how we got there, because people say, how did he get there? That's how we got there. And then when the Emperor was fallen, this basic fucking dude with a fucking las gun just standing in front of Horus, just being like, just like doing his best Ripley impression from Aliens. Get away from her, you bitch! But
that's the thing, though. What you just said, does his best.
Yeah.
Such a powerful statement.
Yeah.
No, I can't win, but I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
That's the God.
And that's what Yarick should be, and that's why Yarick is so important to the Guard lore, because he's not Lord Solar Leontus, he's not some High Lord of Terror, he's not Lord Marshal Dreer, who's the head of the fucking Death Corps of Krieg. He is a commissar. He's not a Lord Commissar, he's not a Cadet Commissar, he's just a commissar who commands unbelievable respect, because as a normal bloke, he has done incredible things. Yeah. And getting... GGB always fucks it up, because they always get rid of that kind of stuff, and they miss the point.
Like with Ol, as he's now called in Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
We've got to shorten people's names because of Americanism.
Yeah.
Dan Abnett needed somebody to babysit his little fucking baby in John Grammaticus. That's why Alanius Pierce is now perpetual. There's no other. And by the way, Alanius Pierce was now at the Tower of Babel. He's still my torn, gaping anus. No, he wasn't. He's just some guardsman, all right? Stop doing shit like that with your characters. Not everybody needs to be Jesus stand-in.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Like, he just... The whole thing was just... When they're in the throne room in the Horus Heresy series, and reading it, and there's Sanguinius there, there's Blood Angels and Imperial Fist, all right, I'm thinking, where are the guard? Like, they're still there. Not one of them goes up with him. It's all Space Marines and Mordians.
Yeah, man.
The whole magic of the old lore was somehow this random douche nozzle who was probably drinking in a bar in the siege encampments earlier that day, stumbles into the throne room where these two gods are unleashing hell upon each other.
Yeah.
That's 40k. That's not even God. That's so funny.
Yeah.
In a dark way. And like, that's brilliant. They should have just ran with that and gone, yeah, no, Alani appeared. No. The twist is it was normal all along.
Yeah. I love the idea of like Alonius Pius was just like some like runner coming in from the front lines, and like because the communications have all gone to shit because of like demon stuff and warp stuff and just all the fighting, and he just runs in like, sir, the left flank of the Palace of Tears or whatever is collapsing, and they're like, and you know the Space Marines, without even like looking at him, just like grabs the paper off him, like reads it, starts like issuing orders and everything, and then the Emperor's like, someone goes, you know, one of the Space Marines like, my Lord Emperor, the shields and horses flagship are down. The Emperor's like, he's like, all warriors to me. And the guardsman sort of looks around like, does that include me? And he sort of steps up to like the teleport pad, and none of the Space Marines notice him because they're all like, he's like a normal dude. They don't even register that he's there because they're just amped up, about to go to fight Horus. And he's like, guys, like, do I like need like anything? Do I need like really like a gas mask? Do I need like a rebreather or something? They don't. They're just ignoring him. And he's like teleports somebody. He's like, fuck.
His standard issue. I got my standard issue rations here. Anyone want a pig sandwich?
Yeah.
I just feel big.
They don't mind if I take a quick smoke before we go in the teleporter.
Even better if one of the Marines notices him and just like kind of shrugs, goes, "You may as well."
Yeah. He starts offering out a pack of cigs to like the Marines around him. One of the Space Wolf like takes one, lights him up.
You know what? Fuck it.
That would be cool. That would be so like just a little throwaway like moment. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They take it far too seriously. They do, and then in the spaces where they don't take it seriously is where they should.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
tonal inflections every time. They never get it right.
Yeah. Do you want to know something funny? For literally until about a couple of months ago, I thought that John Grammaticus was a meme because of his name. So I thought that when people would talk about John, whenever I was like browsing through like forums and I saw people like ragging about John Grammaticus, I thought that was the 40k equivalent of calling someone a grammar Nazi. And I was like, oh man, this guy's such a John Grammaticus. I didn't realize he was an actual character. Yeah. What a shit name.
I know. As soon as you read it in Legion, first time you see John, he's like making love to this like ultra gorgeous like noble woman, and he's just leaving her where, you know, of course, like without looking away, he just leaves.
Absolute Giga Chad.
Yeah, and I was like, this is Dan, isn't it? This is Dan. This is it. This is his self-insert. And back then, you know, he had a lot of like goodwill, Dan Abnett. He still does now, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like since then, he just never dies, and he's always right where the cool shit's happening for no reason. Everyone's like, who the fuck's this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, he's with the Emperor, and he's just walking around Horus's flagship with the Emperor. Go, oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah, John's here. Everyone's safe, man. John's here. The Emperor should be like thanking you for being here, John. You know, it's just.
So it's like, how you feeling today, John? I'm feeling like I could take on the whole heresy. Hey guys, stand down. John says he's got this one.
This one, everybody. Sanguinius, you can stay on Earth. No problem.
Yeah, don't worry.
Stay down there. All good.
Oh man,
that was a good scene. Like Sanguinius getting beaten to death was a good scene. Sorry, Blood Angels plays, but it was a good scene.
I think they're gonna bring him back.
Oh God, no!
Yeah, they're definitely 100%.
Blood Angels fans don't want that.
Doesn't matter. You know, he's coming back.
Just stop. Like, somebody said to me the other day, like, live from Black Library, really good YouTube channel, by the way, talking about Horus coming back, or like, you know, because the end, and I don't know if you read the end, and
I have not read a single Horus Heresy novel.
Okay, and I suppose you won't either because you're gone.
There's a million of them. I'll die before I get a chance to read them all.
Exactly, yeah. But at the end, you know, because Horus the Emperor kills Horus. Obviously, that's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
Fuck off if you think it is. You're not a 40k fan. So at the end, he actually says something to Horus. He says, "I forgive you, and I'll wait for you," and kills him. Right? Now everyone's thinking, "Oh, hang on a minute. Does that mean his soul isn't destroyed?" Because he doesn't destroy his soul in the book. He uses the Anathema dagger to stab him in the heart and kill his physical body, and it melts.
Yeah.
The soul doesn't get ripped away. So in the actual old lore, the Emperor literally obliterates his soul so he can never come back, and that's why Horus's clone, when Fabius Bile does it, is so shit, because it doesn't have a soul in it.
Yeah.
Whereas now, it's like they've left the door open for Horus to actually come back, because the soul's out there.
You know what's going to happen, don't
Horus
you?
Again.
Horus is going to come back as a loyalist Primarch in 40k.
Yeah, do you know what? Oh, stop it! No,
that's it. That's going to happen.
That's not allowed to do that.
Because the Emperor, because it's going to be like, it might actually. It initially sounds like a terrible idea, but it might actually be quite clever. The whole idea of redemption. And here's the thing: we said earlier, 40k is losing its grim dark edge. Now, in the old school 40k lore, the concept of forgiveness and redemption is utterly unfathomable and unacceptable.
Alien. Yeah.
But in new 40k, the idea of the prodigal son returning, the idea of redemption being available to everyone, even the most heinous of beings, that's Disney, that's Marvel, that's New GW.
The cleverest way to do it is to have Horus realize, no matter what he does, if he reveals himself, he's dead.
Yeah.
No matter what he does, right? So he becomes lone wanderer, Cypher kind of dude who just wanders. Maybe Cypher joins him and they just go around together, just grabbing cheese.
Yeah.
That would be cool, right? They're not going to do that. They would bring him back and say, "Hey, you know, here he is." You know, look at the lion's behavior. Oh God, just a lion coming back and going, I was wrong the entire time, because this one Fallen has convinced me that I was wrong, and I shouldn't have nuked my own planet, and well, you're all forgiven, by the way. Apart from the ones who aren't, you're all forgiven. It's like, oh.
I don't know much about the Lion's Law. My understanding is he's just going around the Imperium Nihilist, just being a bit grumpy, is my general understanding of what he's doing.
There's one really funny scene where he beats up on an entire Chaos Warband, and I'm like, what the fuck? Obviously, like, the Lion just turns up, they're like, how could this day get any worse? It's a Primarch, right?
Yeah.
And one of them doesn't know who he is, doesn't know who the Lion is. And he goes, who are you to do all these things? He goes, I'm Lionel Johnson. What have you done to me with your magical powers to slow me down? I'm not feeling right. What have you done? He goes, you're just old, bitch. And then dies.
You're just old.
Because old, bitch.
Yeah, because he kept aging unlike Gilliman, didn't he?
Yeah, he's just old. And I quite like that. I mean, he's still fucking amazing. He's the Lion.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know, in terms of 11th edition, I think Adepticon was a really, really good sign of things to come, and that's why people are saying to me, oh, don't get too upset, because there's still a full year to go, right? You know, it's the start of the year, it's the first big show. They don't realise it, Adepticon's the biggest one. This is where you set the tone for everything to come throughout the year, and as you said before we went on air, we're on the downward slope of 10th now.
Yeah.
We're on the way down. We're literally, we're deciding what the themes are going to be for the next one already.
Yeah.
The themes for the next one are superpowered power armor dudes taking the spotlight away from everybody else, which has been that way for years, of course.
Yeah.
Now it's not. They're saying the quiet bit out loud now.
Yeah.
They used to just hint that it was the Space Marines were the main dudes. You know that meme where it's like, you know, who of us two is your favorite? Oh, you're both equal. No, it's you, and by a lot.
Yeah, it's you, and by a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's just open. Now they're just like, nah, we're not doing Guardsmen on. Hey, you want Guardsmen? Yeah, here's your Death Corps to Krieg, right? They're basically anything meme. They've embraced the memes, dude.
Yeah.
Anything memeable, they're all in on.
It's Meme Hammer.
Death Corps is one of them.
It's 100% Meme Hammer. I know I sort of mentioned this. I know we were shooting a few messages back and forth over Discord before we, the days running up to this. But let's talk about Adepticon in detail just for a moment. It started off with, first thing is, like GW is quite good at reveals, even though people find that kind of laughable. They are quite good at planning things out because they understand the basic concept of people don't remember what's in the middle, they remember what's at the beginning and what's at the end. That's why they put really important stuff at the beginning, and sometimes 40k goes at the beginning of a reveal show, and then they will put something really big at the end of the reveals, and that's why people stay tuned the entire time. And I think it's incredibly telling that the first thing they put at the start of Adepticon was Old World. And they kind of, they very quickly were like, yep, it's Old World, it's Wood Elves, it's Beastmen. And that they actually went past that quite quickly, considering it's like they just revealed 2 major factions in the game. And they were like, boom, let's go straight to Cathay. And then I'll circle back to Cathay in 1 second. But then they went through the Kill Team stuff, which was interesting, but I don't really remember much about it. It's like Servitors versus someone. The Tyranids, that was it. And then I don't think, then there was some Age of Sigmar stuff, which I do apologise to Age of Sigmar people. I basically muted the stream and caught up on messages whilst that bit was on the live stream.
Shit.
Yeah. And then we got to the 40k stuff, and the 40k stuff was the Year of Chaos was 3 models. I mean, that's a bit unfair because obviously you've got Emperor's Children, but Year of Chaos was basically 3 models. And then we got to Grey Knights getting an upgrade through, which is insane. That's not even, at least most factions get a full model with their like codex. So Grey Knights didn't get nothing. And then you had Space Wolves, which everyone was creaming their pants with the Space Wolves. And at first, I was like, oh, they're pretty cool looking. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but the Space Wolf reveals consisted of reskinned Primaris Marines.
He's the Assault Marine, the Assault Intercessor pack.
Yeah.
In several different forms.
Yeah, I mean, oh look, it's another kind of Space Marine with a bolter. Oh look, it's another kind of Space Marine with some sort of power weapon and a shield. It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
I will say the axes look cool. And I like the fact that they're matching up the armor now. So they're going, oh, some of them have Primaris-sized, Mark 7 armor. That's cool. I like that.
100%. Oh yeah, 100%. I'm not. I'm not poo-pooing the quality of the models.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it was actually quite a limited release or limited showcase of the Space Wolves. It was. These are very high detailed, beautiful models, which is why initially everyone saw them was like, these are good. But if you take a step back and actually look at the units that are being offered to you, you're looking at several different kinds of basic Space Marine with a bit of fur thrown on there and a few old school armor patterns. That's it. And so for me, I think it's been incredibly telling, and the reaction from my community has been, we're going over to Old World. Yeah.
I mean, you get like, I think it only makes you realize that you put it in perspective there how little that is with the Space Wolves, and then you see the Blood Angels, and you're like, oh, what did you get? One armor set with pecs.
I think the Blood Angel release may go down in history as one of the worst Space Marine releases ever done.
Yeah, for one of the best, like for one of the most iconic chapters, it was. But it's again, we'll get into the Grey Knight thing in a minute. I said before, it's wantonly. It seems aggressive. It seems like somebody there, because of Matt Wardism, which hasn't been a thing for a long time, by the way.
Yeah.
We're still suffering for that. Ultramarines had the same thing with Matt Ward, but they got away with it because they're the poster boys. We're not the poster boys, so we've got to take the punishment for Matt Ward, essentially.
Yeah.
Still, now, decade later or so. So, that's where we are. They don't want to release new ones. If we do, we'll get them in 11th, and we'll get 50% less models for 50% more price. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
An old 40k, I've said this before, the old Paladin set, the Grey Knight Terminator set, is the greatest thing Games Workshop have ever released.
Controversial.
I stand by that.
Controversial, but I don't know enough about it to dispute it.
Basically, from that one set, that one Terminator 5 Terminator set, you can make 5 Paladins, 5 Terminators, a Grey Knight Grand Champion, a Librarian, an Apothecary in Terminator armor. You can make a Grand Master, all from the same kit.
Basically, it's half your units in like one go.
Exactly. All from the same kit, and you can pose them in all different ways. They're all completely, you can do whatever you want with them. They're really convertible. The best kit they've ever made. But obviously that's gone away because now we have Primaris-sized models, which look better on the tabletop. So they're no longer the best kit, obviously. At the time when all models were this size, they were the best kit in my opinion. That's why I started with Grey Knights, because they were amazing knights in space, and look at the value you get in your kits.
Yeah.
When we're going to see such a downgrade when we get Primara, because you're going to get a unit of 3 Grey Knight Terminators. Monopose. Can't do anything with them, and they're only Terminators. Yeah, £42.50, please. We're going to get Paladins. 3 of them. Maybe even 2 of them in a set. That's it. That's all you get. Like the Blade Guard Veterans. That's it. That's all you get. 3. Maybe 2. £42.50, please. That's what's going to happen. The price is going to go up about 25%, and we're going to get 50% less models. Because just as Games Workshop on FlashKit says, half the amount of models and double the prices. That means the models are worth more to you, and we get more money, and everybody wins.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good.
That's where we're going. That's where we're going.
I think it is a really telling sign that people now dread their faction getting an update.
Yeah.
People don't look forward to their codex coming out because they're going to lose half their data sheets to Legends. People don't look forward to new model kits coming out if it's replacing an old model kit, because the new version is going to have less options and is going to be arguably harder to build and less convertible. Like, GW seems to be taking things in a direction where it's like, it sounds, a lot of people think I'm kind of mad about this, and I actually have a lot of people that disagree with me, and I don't mind people disagreeing with me. It's just, this is my sort of kind of controversial stance, but I prefer, no matter how beautiful the new Cadian models are, I prefer the old Cadian models, but specifically with that upgrade sprue that was only existed for like 6 months that they shoved into the box. I think that, firstly, the old Cadian, yeah. Now the reason for that is, I think that I maintain the stance of, I think that the new Cadian models look more dynamic. I think the proportions are better. I think from a aesthetic, looking at them when they're finished point of view, I don't think you can argue that they look, that they don't look better. They do. Of course the new Cadians look better. The old kit was ancient, but the thing with the old kit is that it was unbelievably easy to build. I actually built an old Cadian with my eyes closed on stream to prove a point. No instructions, just feeling the sprue out. Like, it was unbelievably easy to build, and any shortcomings in the kit could be very, very easily overcome with you, the player, raiding your bits box and customizing them. I have probably about 200, 300 old school plastic Cadians in my guard army. It's no exaggeration, every single one is unique. Every single one, either I've got different heads, or they've got different equipment on, or I've done something with like the posing of the rifles. It was a project that took me like 5 years to come out the other side of, and every single model is unique. You cannot achieve that with the new Cadians. It's like the same with Primaris. An individual squad of like intercessors looks kind of cool. When you see someone run more than 2 or 3 5-man squads on a table, they start looking a bit shit because they all look identical. Yeah. And so my stance is, the old models were at a base level rougher, but were much better for the player. They were the sprues were more ergonomic. They were more convertible. You could make truly unique guys. The new models, I would say, they're all flash. They're all bling. Now, and they're a nightmare to build. Like, absolute nightmare to build. The way GW sprues are now is something I have waxed lyrical many times on, and I'll try not to do it again now. But
no, please, like, because I've not had that on my channel yet. But I'm of the same
opinion.
The amount of mold lines I see in this
shit.
Oh my god,
they're awful, man. I like. It's people say I don't understand how we've got to the point where the sprues are more cluttered with more bits on them than ever before, and yet my models have less options and less posability than ever before. Yeah. How has this happened?
That's the thing. If you'd have shown these sprues to people about 15 years ago, they'd be going, "Oh, they're going in the conversion direction. Like this is brilliant." And then you realise when you built it, oh, I've got 5 of the same model.
Yeah,
that was just a little pouch that the Space Marine has that goes on his back pocket. Why? God, where guys just change.
Yeah,
changing on the battlefield. Now that it's I completely. The mold line to me is inexcusable.
Yeah,
I know it's an industry thing that can happen, but if you literally, I've said this before, having worked with the company. I know what the mission statement is. It's we want to make the best miniatures in the world, and we want to continue doing this forever. That's their mission statement, literally. Right? Look on the stock.
Is it still?
What it is.
Is it still that? Do you reckon?
I don't think they've changed it. Yeah.
No, I mean it might be on paper, but do you think it is still in reality? Because if you look around, this is something that I think we both know quite well, but there are people who there are players, we're not trying to crap on anyone here, but there are players that only exist inside only exist inside the GW bubble. They don't know anything outside the GW bubble, and they're almost afraid to go outside of the GW bubble. And these are the people that believe it when GW says we make the best miniatures. But I could go on to one of a dozen 3D printing STL sites and show you models that are unbelievably better detailed than Games Workshop's.
Dude, on that subject,
higher quality.
Like one of my sponsors, Minimaker in Poland.
Nice.
They make amazing miniatures. I get them, and there's no mold lines, super high detailed, super convertible, and you can build them in 5 minutes. Literally done, and each one is completely unique, and you're addicted. You want more. You're like, I want more of these. These are really fun to build. And when you get them, you're like, the Space Marine sprues that you get on Games Workshop, they are good looking. They are. I like Primaris Marines. I'm a Philistine, I know. I like Primaris Marines.
No, I can't argue that Firstborn don't look dumpy as shit. I just think that Primaris Marines are a bit. They look too similar. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, you're right on that point. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the models that they produce, like you look at it and you go, these are what 25% less than Games Workshop's prices. They arrive at my door very quickly. I know that my business is appreciated and valued.
Yeah.
And that if something isn't there, or if I want something extra, sometimes they've just posted it to me. Like I've literally, like, I know not everybody has the owner on blast, but like, you know, I'll say to him like, oh yeah, you know, I wouldn't mind one of these. You know, I'm gonna get one of these next time, and he just sends it.
Yeah.
Like the next thing is, I wanted some gunners for my my Bard affiliated Space Marine chapter that I'm working on.
Nice.
Siege dudes, and he said, yeah, here's some guns. No, I just had them lying around. There's some guns, you know, and it's just there's a big world out there with better models in it than what you get at Games Workshop. You don't have to put up with mold lines. And the best way to do this is to vote with your wallet and go elsewhere and get better models. And don't worry about going to official tournaments, for fuck's sake. Like, okay.
Yeah, I've never been to. I've been to 2, and went to 2, and I had models that weren't GW ones. I never even noticed because there's so many people there.
Exactly. They're not going to come around your table, and if they do, don't go back.
Yeah.
Just go, well, that wasn't for me. You know, it's fine. Again, it's just as I get older. I mean, mate Matt has started. He's a big guardsman, big fan of yours, by the way. He loves
awesome.
Guard. Metal boxes is his thing, and
of course.
Every game he ever plays, he's the turtle. He just sits at the back, bro, and I'm gonna lay down fucking artillery on you all the time. Anyway, he started getting into a digger knobs. Right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
He's converted a load of digger knobs, and basically guardsmen, but they look like orcs, they act like orcs, and that's what they do. And as I get older, I'm more in his wheelhouse now mentally. I get more excited about projects that aren't official. Someone's actually used their creativity and thought outside of the box and thought, okay, well, you know, don't get me wrong, I love seeing a good old, you know, custom Space Marine chapter. Love a bit of that. But, you know, there's real excitement in somebody's project. They're dudes. You know, like
it's
that,
the passion project. So the passion is infectious. Makes you want to do your own.
Definitely. Absolutely. I mean, you get like, I'm sure you get it as well with Guard. Guard are such a smorgasbord of different tastes and things that you might want to look at and do with your Guard army, which they're not taking advantage of by just putting everything into Death Corps Krieg, obviously. But memes are gonna meme.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I suspect that in a year's time or 2 years' time, people will look upon Death Corps Krieg like they looked upon Cadians, the boring poster childs of the GAD. Which I think a lot of people will be very upset from me saying that. I do apologize. I'm not saying it's there yet, guys, but if you are, it's like, I think it's the same would happen if they went old school and made Crimson Fist the poster child of Space Marines again. I think within a couple of years, you'd have people pushing back on it, being like, "Oh, I hate Crimson Fist. I'm running everywhere." I think it's the curse of being the poster child essentially, and I think it'll be funny seeing. I think it'll be funny seeing opinions shift where people are like, I love these Cadians. It's great seeing a Cadian on the table, not another bloody Death Corps of Krieg one. And it's like, oh, how the tables have turned, man. But yeah, go on. No, you go first, mate. You go first, man.
Okay. What do you think of Cadia coming back?
I think it should never have gone away, but
Okay.
But Cadia coming back it's interesting. I'm not actually against it.
Imperium, isn't it?
Yeah,
Big move.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's lots of little planetoids and asteroids and stuff now. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it could, if it is a big if, obviously, but if handled well, so almost an impossibility, but if handled well, it could be actually quite good. What do you think about
I must
it?
admit, I got excited when I saw it. I did get excited when I saw it. I thought, you know what, that's a cool. That is a. I got excited because it's an Imperium thing to do, right?
Yeah.
The spite thing, right? The Tau not really believing Titans are real, because why would you waste all of your resources on something so spiteful and stupid?
Yeah.
And then it turns up, yeah, why is the church walking towards us, kind of a thing? Like
Yeah.
that's 40k to me. Like that's bonkers. And why would you do that? But then the 40k-ness of it is that it's explained. They go, well, this is why, right? The entire nation, the entire psyche of humanity is warped this way over thousands of years of just constant warfare. That's why we build Titans, as a morale boost.
Yeah.
The guys who you're vaporizing behind you by firing the weapons that you've got on you. You know, but like, that's the whole point. So I was quite happy with it. I think it is if you look at it from a 40k standpoint and not they're just retconning this. I don't think they are. You know, it's more.
They're not retconning it. It's them
just
moving
now
it forward. Yeah.
Thing there. Yeah, I agree. They shouldn't have gotten rid of Cade yet. I don't think it should have gone anywhere. And Osaka Creed fighting Abaddon to a standstill is a bit. You know, there are power levels for a reason. You know, Osaka Creed isn't a hero because he punches Abaddon in the face, right? He's a hero because he's a tactical genius who's able to run rings around most people. That's the point. He's got a cigar on his model. That's not the guy you should be punching Abaddon in the face with.
He's Winston Churchill in space, isn't it? So it's just like Winston Churchill wasn't exactly on the front lines. You know, he'd fly in, shake a few hands, say something a bit controversial, and fly out again. That was that was his job. But he wasn't there, you know, picking up a gun. And I think that's the same with Creed. His whole thing is he's behind the front lines, coordinating. He's a strategist, not a tactical genius. He's a strategic genius. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole point of the Guard, though. I think that you got such a plethora of different people going in their faction. Moving them away from Armageddon is kind of just saying, okay, this is it now. This is where we're going. Like the Guard are going to be Death Corps of Krieg, Acadians, and those are the two boxes you want to buy. And you were right with what you said before. Like they could have just said, listen, you know what, bringing Steel Legion back yet. Because why would we? You've already got these guys there that look almost exactly the same. So why don't you just paint them? That would have been fine. The fact that they didn't do that's a very good sign of where they're going. You know, it's a streamlining of what's available in terms of Space Marines and in terms of Guard. You know, sounds ridiculous, but you probably make more money by having less things available, because now, you know, it's very clear what a Guard army is.
Yeah,
very clear what a Space Marine army is. You know,
I've always said that they should. The old Guards, the old Cadians weren't even Cadians. They were a base template for Guard that you then converted into your own guys. And the GW leaves an unbelievable amount of money on the table when they have, for example, they don't just sell head swaps. Like it's the easiest thing in the world to just do a head swap on on an old school Cadian, and suddenly the model looks completely different. And they always end up doing these massively overcomplicated upgrade sprues when all they need to do is sell swaps. That's all they need to do for Guard. And they could do it right now. They could do it with the new. If they took the new Cadians and the new. If instead of seeing them as Cadians, you see them as like. I don't know how you describe them, but like you call them like modern, like body armor Guard, and then you've got like trench coat Guard. With those two things they've got now, they've got all of the old school Guard regiments covered and all of the new ones, any custom ones we want to come up with. Because if you take a Krieg model and stick a Mordian head swap on it, you've got a Mordian model. You've got a Valhallan head swap, you've got a Valhallan model, and it's like you sell those. People would buy them from Games Workshop as well, even if they were more expensive than buying them from like another company like Anvil Industry, for example. People would buy them because people, you know, you're in the shop, it's there, you can add it to the same cart, you're not waiting for different delivery times. People will pay for convenience. And if I could just go into Element Games or something and be like, there's my 2, 3, 4 boxes of Guardsmen, and oh look, I'll pick up, you know, 4 Mordian head swaps right there. they're going to do it. I'm not going to piss around going home and then remembering to order it online. But for some reason, GW just doesn't sell head swaps, and there are entire companies now. Multiple. I'm going hot for a second. But I'll wrap it up in a second. I'll wrap it up in a second. There are entire companies out there, quite big ones now. Like Anvil Industry is a good-sized company. You've got War Games Atlantic, which is becoming a huge company, and these companies exist because they fill the gap that GW refuses to fill. And what's even crazier, it's not even like they're filling a gap for like a big, like general thing in 40k. They're filling a gap for one faction, which is the Guard. They're filling a niche, and they must. If I worked at one of these companies, I would wake up every single day and I would thank Games Workshop. I'd say, thank you, Games Workshop, for not releasing head swaps. Thank you, Games Workshop, for not releasing these alternative Guard regiments. Thank you, because we get to exist another day.
Yeah, there's a company I really like called the Mighty Brush.
Yeah.
And all they do is decals.
Yeah.
And they're top quality decals too. Games Workshop decals are a fucking disgrace. I have to say that. Like because now I have it, on my dude's left shoulder pad is the chapter symbol that is from Mighty Brush, and the right shoulder pad is obviously the chapter designation, the tactical marine thing.
Yeah.
From Games Workshop. Two different worlds. One goes on completely smooth every time, right where it needs to be, lovely, and it sets relatively slowly so you can move it around and doesn't flow, and it doesn't turn up at the edges, things like that. None of that. No air bubbles, nothing. No matter what you put it on, brilliant. Games Workshops all over the place. It turns up at the side. You need to varnish all of your models, or your shoulder pads are going to look like shit. It's Games Workshop. It's their stuff. Doesn't matter what you do. It's cheap. It's unnecessary. It's terrible. And again, the missus pointed out the other day. She said, "Well, they're mass produced in the box. It's a freebie you get in the box. That's why it's crap."
Yeah.
You've bought the other ones for £2 or £3 each. Not very much, but they want you to come back. They value your service. They value you as a customer. It's exactly what I've been saying about Minimaker and your point before about there are other models out there. And these companies value you.
Yeah.
They actually do. And if you send them an email saying, "Guys, I hate to be really cheeky, but I'm missing this gun and I thought it would come in this set. Do you have one there?" And just leave that question there. They'll probably send it to you.
Yeah.
They'll probably just send it to you. They won't even charge you. They'll just go, "Oh yeah, there you go." Because they want you to come back.
And I think
I've known Games Workshop managers who were sacked for doing that.
Yeah.
Just sacked for being like, "Hey, do you want a free white dwarf for that?"
Yeah.
It'll get you into the hobby and you'll come back sacked. Not straight away, but if they keep doing it and getting found out, they'd sack you.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And I think people, as your missus said, it's a freebie. But here's the thing: there are other companies out there which, and people may say, "Oh, but GW is a large company." Like, okay, let's go to not. Nowhere near the size of GW, but I'd say one of the larger players in the wargaming space, which is Warlord Games. So Warlord Games is pretty big. They've got a few hundred employees. They operate places all around Europe and the US, and their transfers and stuff are great. They're fine. They're freebies. I've never had an issue with the Warlord Games transfer, and they show. And this is that Warlord. This is what people. It's mad to me that Warlord, which must be a company which is a fraction of the size of Games Workshop, has a model line, Just Bolt Action, which is probably the same size as Games Workshop's. Which is crazy.
Point, yeah.
Which is crazy. Like Warlord Games. So if I go to like Games Workshop and I want to buy Space Marine Primaris intercessors, if I go on the Space Marine bit, it's the Primaris intercessors. If I go to the Blood Angel bit, it's the same Primaris intercessor kit. They may have painted them in a different color, but it's the same kit. and you go to it's the same kit for for all these different Space Marine chapters. If I go to Warlord Games and go to let's say the British. Okay, I was going to use the Germans, but I don't want anyone to say get uppity with me. Let's say the British. I can pick for just the medium machine gun team, the equivalent of a heavy bolter team. Okay, there's the standard British and Canadian one. There's the one for the BEF from the early war. There's the one from the 8th Army. There's the ones for the Australians. There's ones for the Paras. There's ones for the Royal Marines. And these are all, they're not the same model painted differently. They are all unique with not only like unique crew, but like unique poses on each one of those. So for like one model, there must be 10 different variants. And it's just like, how the hell is like, and they don't need to do that. They could very, very easily have just been like, this is a British medium machine gun team. If you want to make it a Royal Marine one, if you want to make it an 8th Army one, you go out there and paint it differently or convert to whatever. But we're not going to do it. But that's like 10 different molds that they have for this, and that's one unit in one faction. And it's the same. You go over to the Germans. There's 100 different. Well, no, not 100. There's a dozen different German MG teams between it. Is it an MG34? Is it an MG42? There's dozens of variants for these factions. Same for the Americans. And I'm going to go one step further. It's like Warlord Games, even though they know that most people won't, like, they'll have less people that will buy like winter stuff, like people wearing winter clothes. They'd have people like, most people like to buy the stuff that's in like summer gear. They have, when they release a winter range, let's say if they've done it recently for the Americans, the launch of 3rd edition Bolt Action, they were like, well, if we're releasing a winter range for the Americans, we've got to release everything. So you've got the infantry, the officers, all the different weapon teams. It's not one upgrade sprue. It's not, oh, there's one box of winter infantry if you want, and then the rest of it's up to you to do the conversion. It's, if you want a fully dedicated, quite niche army, it's there. And I always wonder, and maybe it's a case of it's almost weird when the bigger you get, the harder it is to maintain certain variety, the inefficiencies of big companies, maybe. But it always amazes me that a company that is a fraction of the size of Games Workshop can rival them in terms of model range. In terms of offerings to the consumer.
Again, we were going back to the value of where people find value in their companies and in their customers. Rick Priestley's always been a massive advocate of value in the box. It's how he terms it. Every box you buy, especially the big boxes, are a big cash investment. So you need to be able to, in almost like a modular fashion, get that game on the tabletop and play toy soldiers. Within a couple of days max, right? That time isn't respected by Games Workshop. They are very much a company that's going down I've said it before, they're going down the video game route.
100%.
They've looked at companies like EA and Ubisoft, and they've come to all the wrong conclusions about how you monetize your product to nerds.
I think 11th edition will be live service. I think 100%. I mean, if it's not, I'll be surprised. If it happens, I won't be surprised. I just assumed it's going to happen at this point. It's going to be full digital rules. And this is what I've said. This really upsets people. I've said what they're going to do is they're going to live service it, and they're going to have like seasons, like season passes and stuff for the digital rules. And what will happen is they will every 3 to 6 months it'll be a different season. So taking like Guard for example, it'll be, okay guys, 11th edition is here, sign up for the Imperial Guard Battle Pass on the Warhammer app to make sure that you've always got all of the up-to-date rules and everything, and then you buy your Guard Battle Pass, and then what will happen is for the first 6 months you'll have one detachment, and it'll be like the tank detachment. It's like smash the enemies with the Hammer of the Emperor in the first season of Warhammer 40k 11th edition, and then after 6 months, after everyone who's jumped on the hype train has bought a dozen guard tanks or 2 dozen guard tanks and built and painted them all, they'll go, Now it's time for season 2 of 11th edition, and now the Hammer of the Emperor, that detachment is going away. They're gonna remove it. You won't be able to use it anymore. And instead they were like, now it's time to unleash the unending waves of the Guard's greatest resource, the humble Guardsman. Here's your new Emperor's Shield Infantry Company. Collect hundreds of Guardsmen.
Tanks? Fuck them. You don't need those anymore.
You have tanks. You don't get any rules. You still get rules tanks. Your tanks get no bonuses anymore. Now it's all about the infantry. And so people will go out there and they'll buy all the infantry. And then they'll be like, good news, guys. The third edition, the third season. And the third season, like, time to get your cavalry on, mount up and charge out. And it's like, fuck. And they'll do it for every faction. And that's how they'll keep draining. They'll be draining everyone for every penny.
I've said, okay, so I'm guilty of this, right? I said they should do this for a while.
Yeah.
But I did it quite differently. I did it more consumer first. I said, well, okay, if you want people to buy your stupid app, like put up the price by £5, £10 a month. People are like, what? Yeah, $9.99 a month. But for that, you get every codex fully updated whenever they're updated. You get loads of really cool shows on the network, so you can go on and watch your Astartes and things like that, and things like our Amazon secret level design things, really cool things like that.
Yeah.
You get battle reports that are just for you, live from Warhammer HQ with the best White Dwarf painters and people like that, all giving their armies a go. The things that are in White Dwarf, the battle reports that are in White Dwarf, should be live streamed for people on the app every month.
Yeah, but then they'd actually have to do them properly and not just basically pretend to be models around.
Take it up. We definitely played this game.
We definitely played it. It definitely wasn't. It isn't us moving models around, taking pictures and trying. And it's not a coincidence that the new release army wins every time.
But you could tell in the old days that people actually got salty in the battle reports, and I loved it.
Yeah.
White Dwarfs. You can see Sawyer and Andy Chambers just looking at each other, like trying to smile at the end of the game, going "fucker."
Yeah, 100%. You used to get a real sense of they were very personally written. I found.
Yes, they were.
I remember going back to I was reading a battle report when I was a kid, and it was one from when the Tyranids basically got their first big refresh, from when they were all like weird, like fucking metal models.
I remember this one.
And it was Guard versus Tyranids, and it was the whole thing was like it was the first time there was any Death Watch models. So this one squad of Death Watch was trying to get from like the right side of the Guard deployment zone to the left side of the Guard deployment zone. They had like an Inquisitor with them, and the whole thing was like they had to like board the Valkyrie whilst the Tyranids were assaulting the Guard lines. I mean, unbelievable battle. But I want to recreate that right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But the way they like the battle report was written is like it was done from the player's perspective, and the Tyranid player at first you could tell was getting really salty because like I'm going to unleash this brand new Venom cannon. It's done nothing. I'm going to unleash this brand new Death Spear. It's done nothing. And then it got to like his turn. After like his second turn, he was like, I'm not very impressed with these. After 2 turns of shooting metal boxes with very little results, I've not been very impressed with my Tyranid firepower. So I've decided to change tactics. I'm now going to shoot the things that go splat, squish, oh look, I'm dead. This turned out to be much more effective, and he just like went after all the Guard infantry and then eventually ended up winning the game because he wasn't like trying to kill Armor 14 Lehman Russes as they were back in the day.
Wasn't that a battle report where they said it was like a tongue-in-cheek moment where they're not supposed to release rules for like in the codex? They actually showed you the strength of some of the Tyranid ranged weapons. Like, it was literally the dice. It's not the cannon. It's the dice.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was so funny. It was like, such a human thing to do. Like, listen, it's not our products. It's Dave.
Yeah.
Dave's shit.
Exactly, and you definitely used to have these moments where personalities would clash because you'd have like someone who would like turn up for like a Warhammer Fantasy battle report, and someone would really embrace like the narrative that they'd come up with, and their army would be dog shit, but the point was it was meant to be a bit dog shit. And then you had that classic, that guy on the other side who said, oh yeah, I brought a narrative arm, and he brought like one slightly bad unit, and the rest of it was just the usual best stuff that he brought. And you could tell like the person like editing the battle book was like, well, clearly Nick hadn't understood the term friendly game, but oh well, we'll do our best. You know, that would be in White Dwarf.
We'll roll with it. We'll roll with it. Fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so, yeah, we have lost a lot of. It is about. I picked up White Dwarf a few times this year just to test it out, see what's going on, and it is basically a catalogue.
Is it sales catalogue? People say it's got better.
Yeah. It does. It's not Visions anymore. Like, you know, it is okay. There are some articles in there. All articles ranged around what to buy next, and what's really cool about this box set that you can get and things like that. There's no expression. There's no. Hey, do you remember the big green fort that was in White Dwarf? It was built out of fucking matchsticks.
Yeah.
And the ice, the lolly sticks, things like that, and you couldn't tell, and it was so massive and cool. You don't get that anymore. That's not in White Dwarf. You will not get that. It's all official products, and here's what you can get in our official stores and online, and here's the And again, as you said, even the battle reports, of which there are 2 or even 3 in every single edition, are all heavily curated. Yeah, but they're all heavily curated. There's always the newest, shiniest thing is getting the win and being shown off. You can tell sometimes they're not really playing the games. I've seen a few people on the Discord actually calling them out. I don't know who has the time to do this, by the way, but that's off to you. But they go and check and say, this isn't possible, this isn't possible.
Yeah.
They're not breaking the rules, but there's no way this range of instances happen back to back to back. It's a 1 in 1,000 chance. Okay. So that happens every month. They'll do that every single month. So it's getting better, but it's like a middle ground between them curating and showing you something that they want you to buy, and masquerading as something that was old and that you used to love, sort of a thing.
I've got a couple of questions for you. So the first one is, do you think Games Workshop plays it too safe? So to give you an example, everything that they seem to release is quite sterilized, and it's almost like they're afraid of making like a mistake or upsetting anyone, which ironically they do upset people quite a lot, because they with not doing good releases of models or whatever, like with the Year of Chaos and whatnot. But they play it to safe. Like they've removed the human element from their game, from their communications. That's what they do. You think do they think they play it too safe?
So when I was there, they got into trouble. So one of my friends, Karen, the name's Kira, but I call her Karen for obvious reasons, because she complains whenever we go to restaurants.
Oh God.
But anyway, she used to work for Games Workshop, and she only left like 5-6 months ago actually, and she got into trouble. She was there because you remember the famous incident of people asking for news on the Chaos Codex, and they said there already is news, it's out, and they showed the Dark Angels Codex.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, she was involved in that decision, right? So she got, she was not very told off for that.
Yeah.
I got told off because I had Brother Alpha Boosters, the Necrons laughing condescendingly. I had that on my YouTube, on my store page, because I thought it was funny. I said, it's me eating. I think what was the new rules? I think it was the new guard rules. Because it started a guard army, and in 8 they were really good at the start.
Yeah.
It was me reading the new guard codex, and it was just Necrons laughing condescendingly, and I got a written warning for that. They came down to the store, and they served me with a written warning. They said, you can't do that. We don't own that. I said, what the fuck do you mean? It's our artwork this guy's using. And he's not going to sue us. We're literally giving him tacit endorsement. He goes, that's the point. We don't want him doing this stuff.
Why?
So I don't know. They just said, well, we can't control what he says. So if he says anything homophobic or, you never know. If he goes off the deep end one day, don't control him.
Yeah, but no one's gonna sit. But no, this. Okay, right. I'm trying not to interrupt, but all I'm gonna say is, this is, you see this all the time. I worked for 10 years in the corporate world, and you have all of these people that make up, they're basically, their jobs is to basically make up scenarios to like protect the company from something that is never going to happen.
So what that guy did, right, that he literally said, "What? There's a department at Games Workshop that needs to exist, and that's why we can't do this." Right? You could tell everyone thought it was funny. Even the guy giving me the papers thought it was funny. Right? He's a really nice guy as well. I'm not going to name him, but he was a nice guy, and he came in. He was very reluctant. He told me why, and I had another interview I did at GW. I think it was the interview I got from the store actually when I got the job, so I'm surprised they gave me it when I asked this question. But I said to them, why can't we? They said, "Do you have any questions for us? Just general questions about, running a store and do's and don'ts and stuff." I said, "Yeah. Why can't I let somebody paint with non-Citadel paints in the store? Seems kind of harmless. What's the point?" Problem. What they said?
What?
He said, if a kid comes into the store and they drink a pot of our paint, we call the ambulance. We can tell them what is in that paint. If they come in and they drink a Vallejo paint, if they come in and drink a Vallejo paint, we can't give them the information. I was like, yes, but we all have fucking phones, don't we? We could look it up in 3 seconds. That's not,
That's such a bullshit answer. Do you think the ambulance guy is going to give a fuck about the exact chemical composition of the Vallejo paint? The ambulance is going to be like, why is the kid sick? He drank paint. He's not like, oh, was it a Citadel paint or a Vallejo paint?
An official Citadel paint. Well, he's going to live. He's going to be all right. But Vallejo, he's already dead.
It's just like, what?
Yeah, again, and you're just sitting there, I wanted to be brave and fight back against that, but you just accept it, right? It's only on the train home from Nottingham I was like,
what the fuck?
God, I was mugged off there. That's a ridiculous answer.
Yeah, that's a bullshit answer.
And I'm hoping I didn't get the job when I did in the end. I was like, oh shit, I'm going to have to go.
They offered me a job once,
Did they?
Yeah, I got offered a job at Games Workshop. So what happened was I went in for the interview, and I was doing a few interviews, and they were like, okay, yeah, you'll hear back from us. And they were like, they said, they phoned me back, and they were like, they phoned me back like a week later, and were like, you've not got this job, but we did like how you interviewed, so we've put you down for a potentially another job that was coming up for the store that we're opening. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But like, I was still interviewing like mad because I was just needed a job. So I ended up just getting a job somewhere else. And they phoned me back like another week later and were like, okay, we've got the job for you. And I was like, oh, sorry, I'm working somewhere else.
Already employed.
And the guy on the phone, the guy was like, what? And I was like, yeah, like I didn't hear back from you guys, and I am an unemployed straight out of university student, so I needed a job. I was quite honest with us. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I told you I was interviewing other places. I've just had to take employment. So else, thank you for the offer, but I'm going to have to decline. And you could honestly tell that no one had declined him before.
Yes.
Why?
What it is?
Why wouldn't you work with beloved leader Games Workshop?
Exactly. So do you know what somebody unironically said to me once? Like my trainer said to me once. Very careful with what you say to me and other trainers, because it's very easy to be kicked out of heaven at your level.
What a wanker.
Right, so I'm sitting there thinking, what do you mean? I work for like below minimum wage, by the way, a lot of the time. Like a lot of the shit that they were pulling in terms of wages and things for low level staff was ridiculous. Even when I got my own store, my wages went up by about £100 a month, which sounds great, but like it's not when you're already being paid peanuts.
Yeah.
Or running an entire store and you need to be there 24/7 and yada yada. I've gone down this.
Yeah.
Very many times. But again, there is that attitude there of we are the market leader and we are your heroes. You should be paying us.
Yeah.
It's a bit paying us. Like
they definitely rely, I think, upon the fanaticism of the community. Yeah. But yeah, I think they play it a bit safe, because I think they've removed all of the human factor from their publications. I think they're getting better at it with bringing back, like, I think the live streams and stuff have been fairly good. But I think what always sold White Dwarf is the fact that it wasn't a catalog. It was
dudes.
It was dudes. Yeah, and I think GW's. I think they've misunderstood something about is that Warhammer isn't video games. It's actually in video games. If I'm playing, like, I know we were joking before, I've been playing a bit of PUBG recently. That was offline. I never really see the guys that I'm playing against in PUBG. I never talk to them. I don't see my opponents. But when I play a tabletop game, it's an incredibly social event. That's what makes it so. I think you tend to make memories with other people, not with yourself.
Really good point. Yeah, I mean, from that point of view, they are the example, aren't they? They're leading the way in that. They always should be. And I go back to why I brought that up before, because you reminded me. I went off kilter. They are trained at Games Workshop to not be human, trained to be more corporate. They're trained to not. You may like all of the memes, but don't let people know that, right? The amount of times when I was training in retail on how to approach customers and how to get them to buy more models, people would ask me, "Hey, North," my name, but there we go. "Hey, North, what would you do with these Grey Knight models?"
What?
And I tell them,
what an absolute! What is this? You're not really called Mr. N Exile? What is going on? Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
All right. So I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I want to convert them like this, like that, and do this." And a manager would say to me, "That's like the worst interaction I've seen in a long time." I'd be like, "What do you mean?" "Well, you want to ask them about their hobby or their models and things like that." And I said, "Well, I did, and I got my answer." And then they asked me a question. Yeah, but doesn't that seem like you're not selling models?" "No, friend, it seems like a natural fucking conversation between two people who like Warhammer. Like that's what it is, and those people are throughout the company. And that's why you're seeing things in White Dwarf and in even online in the live stream, things that don't ring true as human, as in their smiles don't reach their eyes. Somebody said that in a Hobby Nightmare the other day, and it was a really good line.
That's a good point.
The smile doesn't reach the eyes. And you're like, yeah, you don't. Like you're just like, what? "Hey guy, why are you here today?" "Dude, I'm just here to stop dry humping me, please.
Yeah.
I don't want your Primaris Marines. I've got too many Primaris Marines. Go away."
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
It's I think it kind of links back to what we've been saying with we were taking when we were saying about Yarrick going away. We were saying about how they're Space Marinifying, Primarsifying, Armageddon, about White Dwarf becoming less and less personal. It's essentially a catalog, although it's getting a bit better. I think they're removing all of these human elements, but I think but the way I would sort of try and show why this is bad is, when was the last time anyone was like, "Oh my god, you see that incredible thing in like White Dwarf? That guy's like custom made army." You never hear anyone talk about that kind of stuff. But even people who weren't alive, who were literally not alive at the time, will be able to talk. Will be able to point to things like Paul Sawyer, by the way, who unfortunately has passed away recently.
He did, yeah,
he did. So
R.I.P.
100%, man.
R.I.P. man.
But people still talk about. He's not worked at White Dwarf for like a decade. He was a co-founder at Warlord Games. People still talked about his White Scars army, about how when he did that White Scars army showcase, about how impactful that was on the hobby. Like, oh my god, look at what you can do, a full Space Marine bike army, never been done before. People talk about his Beastman army, because it was unbelievably. People still refer, and this is just a couple of examples. People will still refer to those really human, kind of rough round the edges, like articles that Games Workshop did. People still, what was it called, Stillmania? People still refer to Stillmania.
Yeah,
they don't refer to any of the new shit. They refer to Stillmania, and I think nearly everyone you talk to in the 40k space, who's been in it for let's say at least a year or two, will be if you say, "Hey, if you mention to them like Tale of Four Gamers," They'll know roughly Tale of Four Games or Path to Glory. Either one of those two. People will go, oh, I'd love to do a Path to Glory thing. Oh, I'd love to do a Tale of Four Gamers thing. Those were based on those things came about because of very human articles that were done. It's 4 guys with a set budget which are going to build their armies up and do a campaign based on what they build up. And what's really funny is I actually went back and read one of those articles recently because I've been looking at doing a Tale of Four Gamers myself. And in one of the articles, Paul Sawyer is like, okay, and I got to the end of this week's or this month's budget, and I had £1.25 left, burning a hole in my pocket. Clearly, a princely sum. And it literally goes, I'll make sure I save that for next month. And then in brackets it says, yeah, right. And then he went, actually, what I did is I immediately went down to the words were, I immediately went down to the Butty van across the road from White Dwarf HQ, and I went and bought myself a big bacon sandwich. Get in, and there's a picture of him eating a big bacon sandwich.
as a man is wont to do.
Yeah. And under every single article that he wrote, there'd be a picture with Paul Sawyer, aka the fat bloke.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get it anymore. There's not that human element to. Even when you see the armies represented in White Dwarf, and I know you've not seen a White Dwarf recently.
Not in a long time.
When you
well, actually, that's not fair. I have picked them up and skimmed.
Okay. So a lot of these articles, when they talk about their own armies, they're talking about, oh yeah, it's always an immaculate army, and you're like, oh yeah, I went for this color scheme because I thought it looked really good on the terrain, and yeah, and it's all surface level stuff. There's no one talking about. Do you know Paul Sawyer coined the phrase "Jakatai Khan likes to go fast"?
Yeah.
In the article, yeah. So he said that even. When I have all of these dirt coming off my tracks and things like that because I wanted to invoke the feeling of speed.
Yeah.
Jakatai Khan likes to go fast.
Yeah.
Dude, that's feeling. You can feel that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this guy.
It's a throwaway line, but it's a human throwaway line.
It is, yeah. But nowadays it's these colours worked well with the palette and worked well with the games we were going to be producing for White Dwarf, and so it's not. That's your job, dude. Where's your love?
Yeah.
I don't care what your job is. And yeah, I know your job. You're lucky enough to do models for a living. Where's your passion? Where's your? I went the extra mile here because I love these models so much. I love the, Play on Tabletop do a really good series where they invite people on, and there was a guy with a Scottish Guard army the other week.
Nice.
It was fucking brilliant, and he was just like, yeah. And he's like, I in World War II, there's Scottish dudes in the desert, and they all had kilts, and they all had these overalls over their kilts to protect them. I was like, I want to do an army like that, and it's all personal to me. Like my dad was my granddad was in the war, and shit like that. And he's really gone the whole hog, and it looks amazing. And I was like, dude, that is a human being who's found a way to express himself with little toy soldiers.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
I mean, that's hobbies hobbies, and I think armies in 40k are an incredibly personal thing, and I think people absolutely pour their heart and soul into their armies, and this is people think this is not the case on the competitive scene. People have this idea in their head on the competitive scene that it's a bunch of neckbeards that don't. They might, that don't know anything. You will find that most competitive players, even if they're not lore fanatics, they actually put an incredible amount of effort into their armies. It's only like the top 1% of people that they basically borrow armies off each other, and their armies a bit of a shitbox. The vast majority of competitive players, when you come across them, they're not a competitive player. They are a Dark Elder player playing their army competitively. That's the way they do it, and they're unbelievably passionate. Some of the most beautifully painted armies are ones by people who are at tournaments, and that's how I see myself. I am a guard player. I am not a competitive player. I'm a guard player that likes to play competitively, and
yes,
I think one of the passion projects that I did a few years ago was my Genestealer cult. I think Genestealer cult are very common, like third or fourth army for people, because they're a bit wacky and weird and kooky. But that gives them a lot of scope for being. I think the reason why people buy Genestealer cult and build them, I only play with mine once a year, is because you can make them anything. And your cult can be based around anything. And there is that, you can be a bit tongue in cheek with it. Oh, well, my Genestealers all worship. You can make up anything. Like my Genestealers all worship. You say it's the Great Patriarch. You go down a traditional route, or you could be like the Patriarchs died, so they're a bit lost. So now they all worship like the Great Apple or something. Do you know what I mean? You could come up with anything. Yeah. The last thing that the Patriarch said to my cult was. Before the last thing the Magus said before he died of a just random freak heart attack was, "I really love spaghetti." So now they all worship the flying spaghetti monster and all that kind of stuff. You can be as serious with it or as unserious with it as you want. My Genestealer cult army is based around the Brotherhood of Nod from Command and Conquer.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
So and it's a mixture of grey and red. I didn't pick those colours because they went well together. I picked those colours because my theme is it's the interwar period between the first Command & Conquer game and the second Command & Conquer game, because in the first Command & Conquer game they all wore grey, and in the second Command & Conquer game they all wore red, and so that's why it's a mixture of those two things. And I've free-handed little scorpion tails on every single shoulder pad, and I've converted every single lasgun, so I've scraped all the Aquillas off. It took me like 2 years to put this army together, and I only play with it once a year. Do you know what I mean? But I will never sell that army because it's a passion project. Now, if this was old Games Workshop, and I worked at Games Workshop, that army, even though it features another company's idea, that would be featured. It would be featured in an article. Now they wouldn't go near it with a barge pole.
A wargaming magazine, right?
Yeah.
General war. Obviously, it'd be all entirely Games Workshop, but there were things sneaking in there. There were things from other companies sneaking in, And you know full well that some of those paints that they were using were not Games Workshop paints. Hello, Alpha Legion, when there weren't even fucking Alpha Legion paints available from Games Workshop.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's at times it is one of them. I reckon that's a good place to call it. We're an hour and a half in.
I do have one more question for you.
Go ahead. Yeah, I've got
one more. Maybe one to pose to you and pose to the viewers as a comment down below kind of thing. Do you think, after everything we've talked about, with some of the model releases being kind of meh, and with some of the lore being kind of meh, and some of the White Dwarf and stuff being kind of meh, do you think that Games Workshop themselves is becoming burned out on 40k?
I don't think Games Workshop will ever be burned out on making money.
So I mean, do you think there is a distinct lack of? Have you noticed a distinct lack of enthusiasm around their communications?
I think Armageddon is a good example of that. Why make something new? Listen, okay. Sometimes this attitude is proven correct as well, so I'm not going to sit here and defend them all day. But there is an attitude of Games Workshop of why should we even try? All they do is complain anyway. Right? And I do empathise with that, because again, I've been on the other side of the fence. I've been in a store where I'm lambasted for things that I had nothing to do with. People out there aren't very logical at times, especially wargamers. Wargamers are nerds, and some nerds have behavioural problems. It just is what it is.
Wargamers, there's only one thing wargamers hate more than change. That's things not changing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Games Workshop, you're caught in between a rock and a hard place. I'm not without my sympathy for Games Workshop, and I never will, because again, being on the other side of the fence, my heart goes out to you. I know it's difficult sometimes. I can definitely see why you would lose love. Look, I left Games Workshop. I didn't touch 40k for 3 years.
Yeah.
No. So, and that should say, and I'm not the only one. Like the amount of people I know who are friends who've left Games Workshop or who still work there and couldn't care less about the hobby anymore because it's a job to them and they hate it.
That's what. That's kind of what I'm touching on.
So I think maybe they are, but at the same time, I think it's when I said that they're addicted to making money, it's because this is why we're getting things like Armageddon. It's nostalgia bait, right? It's easier to go and do Armageddon again and just refresh it and say Angron's back again and we're doing this entirely over again, than it is to make new stuff. We're never going to get another Badab War. We're never going to get another something that somebody in the studio said, this will be a fucking great idea, let's do this. And you can feel
that's a phenomenal point, man. We will never get another, what is it, Brax. We'll never get another Badab War. We'll never get another, what was the one with, was it the Tauros, where it was like the Tau versus the Talan? We'll never get another one of those.
Yes. That was a weird one, that. Yeah.
It was fucking weird, man, but it was cool.
It was cool. Like, but you want to see all the... Tal won.
Yeah, I know. Like, what? They didn't give it to the Imperium for once. It was mad.
No, I was like, maybe it was the Imperium's own fault, but they still won.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're never going to see... We're out of that age of 40k. At the same time, I think it's also a big gold mine of... You look at Adeptus, Adeptus Ridiculous, Astartes Anonymous, right? Really good YouTube channel, and they do entire 3-hour streams on what to do and what not to do about making your own 40k Space Marine chapter. Again, it's a rite of passage. Everyone needs to do it at some stage. Write your own lore, your own Space Marine chapter, and then you branch off into rogue trader people and Imperial Guard regiments and whatever. I think the golden age of that is coming. We're going to get the golden age of homebrew, in my opinion, because we're going to be starved. There'll be people out there who are absolutely starved of that kind of thing. It's like, okay, Armageddon, I'm not feeling the passion. I'm not feeling the oomph. We're going to get more of that, and I think in the hobby, the exciting time is we're going to have to build it ourselves, and that's going to be quite exciting, in my opinion. I think that's. I don't think Games Workshop are an entire arbiters of the hobby anymore, and I think
that's very true.
Okay with that. I think they're okay with that. I think they're like, yeah, you make it yourself. We can't be bothered. The models scrub, that kind of a thing.
I feel like they want to still be though. It feels like that scene in Star Wars, like the harder you tighten your grip on these systems, the more that they will slip through your fingers. Something like that. Yeah. I think I remember that. It's just to sort of throw another thing out there. I know I'm keeping it. He's not going. I'm keeping him for longer.
I've got nowhere to be. So
I'm keeping him. It's just a thought that's just occurred to me. Light bulb kind of moment. You said there's a bunch of people in Games Workshop that are basically there to collect a paycheck.
Yeah.
I think that's an incredibly insightful point, and it just triggered something in my head, because think of the number of people, yourself included, but many others, who are incredibly talented people that have left Games Workshop, set up their own companies or YouTube channels, and have become unbelievably successful. The likes of, Suggs, who does Rogue Hobbies, and Peachy does Peachy Tips, and you've got Rob, who does Honest Wargamer, and you've got yourself, who does Northern Exile, and many others. People, you said this before, like, people, there's people in Games Workshop think, it's very easy to kick you out of heaven at this level. I think there's something has kind of happened with 40k getting larger and larger and larger, and wargaming becoming mainstream. GW is no longer the only place you can go to do this as a full-time job. And so what's happening is the people that are maybe staying at the company are the ones that are just collecting the paycheck. It's easier. It's incredibly easier, not easy, easier to release another Space Marine, to update the Space Wolves and to give each one of those Chaos Armies one model, than it would be for them to completely do a passionate fourth war for Armageddon between freshly updated orcs, bringing back plastic steel legion. That requires effort, it requires passion, it requires understanding the lore, it requires actually doing research and homework and thinking about how you're going to adapt that and bringing it to a vision. It's not just, we're just going to make another Primaris Marine. So the people,
I think a lot of it is
all the passionate people who are successful, who have got that get up and go attitude. They get up and go and are successful on their own.
Yeah, I mean, here's the point on that, is that you don't need to work for Subway to make sandwiches anymore.
Yeah.
Point, right? You don't need to. And I think that's a better way of putting it, basically,
Nice
in a way that
I
most
like that.
people understand. No, I mean, like, you're not beholden to them anymore. There are the wargaming's Games Workshop have done an amazing job of building wargaming and building it so that it's in the public zeitgeist and stuff. And I'm incredibly thankful to them for that. For also, giving me a job. But even beyond all that, and I've said it to guys who work there still. I say, you're still writing my checks. You're just not doing it out your own pocket anymore.
Yeah.
You're still paying me. I'm just getting my money from YouTube now. They've done an amazing job of making sure that there are people here who want to do this stuff. People here who... That's the only way the hobby will ever die, is if we lose those people.
Yeah.
We lose those people who say, you know what, this is kind of lame, right? And I don't really want to do this anymore because I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm not supported. No one's really bothered. That would be the crying shame. That would be the time when I'd start panicking. Rising tide raises all ships as well.
Yeah.
You'd have Warlord Games start to struggle, and that's what we don't want, because those companies are golden. Those are people there who have built their entire professional lives around wargaming. They've been lucky enough to do so as well. So that's the only time I'd panic. I think we're on the verge of a golden age of these people, making their own stuff, and there might come a time where you need to just divorce Games Workshop from your hobby and say, okay, well, if I want Space Marines, that's where I'm going to get them from. Or anything else, I'm good over here.
I think that's
fine.
That's a great point. I think that is going to apply to the lore. I think that's because people are just going to go, like you said, golden age of homebrew. I think we're going to start seeing it if with on the competitive side as well, because what used to happen in sort of 6th, 7th, and 8th edition is GW had no say in how competitive 40k was done. And it was actually things like in 8th edition, it was the ITC that every tournament started becoming ITC. ITC was essentially a homebrew rules pack with homebrew missions, but everyone loved it so much it basically became the official tournament format. And then Games Workshop was like, okay, we want to control this. So then over the course of 9th and 10th edition, they've had an incredible hand in how competitive players come about. But I see more and more people these days going, hang on, we used to run all, whenever a new balance thing comes out and people are like, this is just, what the hell, man, this is just nonsensical. More and more people going, hang on, we used to run all of this stuff ourselves. We used to have like player-led, essentially, tournament organizations, tournament federations almost. Why did we ever get rid of that? And so, I think we've gone through this age of GW being incredibly, in a good way, incredibly engaged with the hobby. But I think we're starting to get to the point now where I feel like they're reaching the limit of what they can do. And then maybe, I don't know if that's even the right way of putting it, but hopefully people understand sort of like the meaning behind what I'm saying, not the exact words. And we're getting to this point now where it's like the community doesn't want to be led by Games Workshop anymore. They want players to lead. Players, hobbyists. They want the direction to come from within the community, not from within Games Workshop. I think there's definitely a potential for that. They want passion. The community wants flavour and passion. That's to sum it up.
And if that's not them, I think I'm at a place now where if that's not them, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If they just want to sell models, what's happening on YouTube is there's a groundswell. We were saying this before. I won't get into specifics. I'm losing my voice. I'm not getting into specifics. Because obviously we're looking at Mordian and things like that. People, even channels like mine, you're making a decent monetary remuneration from a low subscriber count, right? Because people are dedicated to you and your voice and hearing what you talk about the hobby, you get them through the day, and also people love the hobby. And what Games Workshop aren't... You remember what you said before about thank you Games Workshop for not selling decals, because now my whole business can be about selling decals?
Yeah.
It's the same for us. Thank you Games Workshop for not being humans. Because now we can be humans. Right? It's our entire job.
I love that.
Our entire job is that.
I love that. You know what? I'm never going to complain about Games Workshop becoming more soulless and more corporate ever again. GW, more please. You know what? I take back every criticism I've ever said. More please, because at the moment that GW sets up a slightly degenerate, reprobatable Imperial Guard sub YouTube channel, I'm fucked. I'm out. I'm done.
Mordian likes to eat steak 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Be less human. Come on.
Yeah, man. GW, I say this wholeheartedly and utterly selfishly, be less human.
Be less human.
And that's the note to end on.
Be less human.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
That was great.
Right, well, again, I'm sure we'll get back together again and we'll do this again when next time Games Workshop shit the bed.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for coming on, man, and it's been a pleasure to be on your channel as well.
Yeah, man. Same to you. Same to you, bro.
All right, see you guys later.
Catch you later, boys. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.